Taking a check of our pinpoint weather, and it is a pinpoint weather alert day. That is what all of that red means here. Yep. Meteorologist Andrew Brightman is standing by to tell us what we can expect and, more importantly, Andrew, the timing of all of this.
Yeah, really, it's going to be throughout the afternoon hours. Probably something you're going to be talking about coming up at Queen City News at 4. But it's really just a strong cold front moving through. Big concern here, strong and blustery winds. Not so much tornadic activity. You can never really completely rule it out, but really concerned about these strong straight line winds that are going to be moving through with this front as we head throughout the afternoon hours. Right now, though, you could be a little confused here in Bryson City. It looks pretty tranquil. Also very, very mild across the Carolinas. Again, temperatures right now up into the mid and upper 60s for basically everywhere outside of the mountains currently. And that's, of course, the case here in uptown Charlotte, which right now 66 degrees. Winds out of the south-southwest currently at 21 miles an hour. The wind alerts that we have in effect, we do have wind advisories for the mountains, then also down in portions of upstate South Carolina, Lancaster, as well as Chesterfield County, where we could see wind gusts again upwards of 60 miles an hour here, especially some of these storms move through as we head throughout the afternoon. You can see some of the current wind gusts here across the Carolinas. Already pretty blustery. Wind gusts here in Charlotte upwards of 36 miles an hour. So definitely one of those days you're going to have to hold on to your hats here across the Carolinas. Also going to be a little rough sledding for any of those planes landing over at Charlotte Douglas today. Severe weather risk, it's a marginal. It's a tier 1 out of 5. It's our lowest possible risk here, but we're still concerned again about some isolated strong and severe weather. It's going to be trying to move on through. There's that line right now, still off to our west and well off to our west, moving through portions of eastern Tennessee. But let's zoom out here on a macro level. It is a strong cold front. We actually do have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings across portions of eastern Tennessee as this front pushes in to the Carolinas over the next few hours. Out ahead of it here, this is all the instability that these storms need, with temperatures again as you get down towards the coast in the middle 70s, feeling like full on almost early April for many of us across the Carolinas. Certainly feels that way up in Charlotte, but check out the contrast. 71 in Knoxville, only 37 degrees up in Louisville currently. Futurecast, we watch these storms start to move through right as we get through lunch here up in the mountains. Then as we get into the afternoon, after about 3-4 o'clock here, we're going to be tracking this. I know Chief Meteorologist Tara Lane's going to be tracking it as we get to Queen City News at 4 or 5 o'clock when these storms really start to push through portions of the Piedmont here, watching those strong and potentially damaging winds move through. And then by about the time we get through dinner or so, we're done. We do see a couple of lingering showers potentially around Charlotte, but then from there, we see the clouds slowly start to clear out and our weather will greatly improve, but also much colder air, much more seasonal air, I will say, as we head into your Thursday morning. Going to be close here whether or not we do get down all the way to the freezing mark and then some mid-20s up in the mountains. As for the rest of today, it is going to be mild, breezy, and eventually wet and stormy here. As this front moves through across the Carolinas. Temperatures still getting up into the lower 70s, certainly feeling like spring, but behind it, much colder air is pushing in across the region, down into the low to mid 30s. Going to be close here. I don't think we'll quite get down to the freezing mark in Charlotte, but it will be a close call. We are expecting freezing temperatures, though, up through the foothills and then up in the mountains here. Temperatures getting all the way down into the mid-teens and low 20s. A far contrast compared to what we saw this morning and what we're seeing currently across the Carolinas. Also a greatly improved forecast on the way for your Thursday here. Much cooler, I will say, with highs barely getting up here into the low to mid 50s. Going to be knocking off about 15 to 20 degrees off our high temperature, but we will see more sunshine across the region. 56 here in the QC, 57 in Chirot, and then middle 40s across the mountains. And there's more wet weather on the way. Your Pinpoint 5-day and 7-day forecast. Watching really Friday afternoon through Saturday morning for potential wet weather. But again, just a speed bump with our temperatures, with more mid-upper 60s on the way and more 70s potentially on the way next week, Annie.